The Protection of Persons and Property Committee met on February 22nd, and I'm going to provide the meeting notes for the Algoma Fire Department and Rescue Squad. The Algoma Fire Department responded to 7 calls since our last report in January, which puts us at 7 runs year to date. The Fire Department members have completed their annual bloodborne pathogen training and first aid training during the month of February. The Algoma Fire Rescue Association has purchased and donated to the department a new ventilation saw from private donations recently received. We will be putting that into service as soon as our personnel are trained on how to use it properly. Department members have begun doing our spring fire inspections of local businesses, and we appreciate the local business owners for their cooperation as we go through this annual inspection. The Algoma Rescue Squad responded to 36 calls since last reported in January. That puts us at 67 runs year to date. The biannual CPR training will be held for Rescue Squad members on Thursday, February 25th, and all fire and rescue members who chose to receive the COVID-19 vaccination have received both doses, and everything went favorably for the membership.
The Algoma Public Library Board of Trustees met on February 15th. There was not enough for a quorum, so no action was taken at that meeting. I will mention some of the upcoming programs that the library has to offer. Some of our highlights include a March into Reading kit on March 1st. For all ages, we have a Getting to Know You Windows computer tutorial on Facebook on March 1st. A knitting grab and go for adults on March 3rd. On March 3rd, we also have our Maker Wednesday kits, which will feature some St. Patrick's Day activities. On March 5th, a National Unplugging Day kit. And then on March 8th, for kids and family, we have a Make a Leprechaun Trap Grab and Go kit. A Stuffed Animal Sleepover kit is available to pick up on March 11th. And then on March 17th, you can join us for our virtual story time on Zoom. All the information for that can be found on our Facebook page. And all kits that I mentioned are while supplies last. We also are partnering with the Kewanee Library and Door County Library and providing a virtual cooking demo on Saturday, March 13th at 1 p.m. We can join Inga Witcher, host of the PBS television series Around the Farm Table, for a educational cooking demonstration. She will share her favorite spring recipes along with tips on supporting local farmers. And that, like I said, is brought to you by Kewanee Library and Door County Public Libraries, and watch for more details to come on that. We continue to hold Storytime Lives on Facebook on Mondays at 11, Fridays at 10. All of these programs and more can be found on our Facebook page as well as on our website. The library has now purchased 5 more hotspots, so we have a total of 10. And these can be checked out for up to 1 week.
The Parks and Recreation Committee did not meet in February, but I'll share some highlights of what we've been working on in our department. The ice rink is still open, but with warmer temperatures this week and next week, we'll see how it goes. There may be cones placed in certain areas of the rink where the ice has melted or is too thin, so if you do use the ice rink, please be mindful of leaving the cones in place. We will post signs at the rink and on our Facebook page when we feel that the ice rink is no longer operational. The Parks and Street Department staff have been working on removing damaged and diseased trees out of Peterson Park and Newman Park. The Parks Committee is still accepting surveys for the Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan until March 31st. If you haven't taken the opportunity to fill one out, please do so by going to the city website or our Facebook page, Algoma Youth Club /Algoma Parks and Recreation, to find the link there. There are also paper copies at the library and City Hall. The community building is now open for walkers in the gym Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please wear masks, and if the front door is locked, the side gym door is open. Knutson Hall is available for groups of 10 or less, and the youth club is still not available at this time for large group gatherings or the weekend youth club nights. Our next Parks meeting will take place on March 15th at 7 o'clock at the Algoma Youth Club.
Algoma Utility held its last commission meeting February 17th, 5:30 p.m. All members were present. No comments from anybody present. There was no old business. Under new business, we talked about electric vehicle charging stations, and the information about costs and potential grants will be reviewed at future meetings. Bills and payroll, it's voted on and passed. Under the manager's report, the extreme cold weather has caused freezing problems in privately owned mobile home parks. We've had quite a few issues with mobile homes freezing up. We've had a couple unoccupied homes in town that have frozen up and have caused some extensive damage inside. Please check your homes as often as possible if they are unoccupied, or your buildings or businesses that do not have people in them all the time. These were some large leaks and caused a lot of damage in this cold weather. Office manager's report. Schmidt inquired about how many private wells are in the city and if current $50 fee for renewing private well permit could be increased. There are approximately 20 private wells. Dashlet inquired if the city could require property owners to abandon the well upon the sale of property or connection to municipal water. The search will begin coming up here in a short time for utility clerk. The commissioners received a copy of the recruitment announcement at that meeting. Our next meeting will be held March 17th, 5:30 p.m. Third Wednesday of each month. Thank you.
The Algoma Public Works Department met on February 16th down at the Public Works Department garage because there was an election here at City Hall, and a couple of the major topics that are coming up here and finishing up. The 6th Street project is about to kick off this Friday. Bids are due here to City Hall by 10 a.m. For that will be the 6th Street complete reconstruction from Fremont to Jefferson Street. So as soon as school's about to get out, there will be a public information meeting on that and how that's going to move forward as soon as we know who the contractor is going to be moving forward for that. So that's kind of exciting to get spring going here a little bit. Continuing to move snow as it falls here. Early this morning we're out cleaning everything up, let Mother Nature try to melt some of this, and after that extreme cold, try to get our roads back to bared up if we possibly can would be nice. And our Public Works guys are about 2/3 of the way completed on building out the new B dock in the street shop. We're down to just the main section. All the fingers are built out. So we're in the process of that, and A dock and B dock should be ready to go into the harbor as soon as Mother Nature allows us to this spring. Our next meeting will be back here at City Hall on March 16th. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jean Marsh, Administrator at Algoma Long-Term Care. We had our last board meeting on January 28th, and during that meeting we discussed some of the properties that we are leasing out, some spaces that we are leasing out to different tenants at the nursing home. We'll be covering that again at our next board meeting, which is tomorrow, February 25th, and we will be also discussing some of the changes that are coming because of COVID. In the community right now, we are listed at a yellow level of threat. And so with that, we are able to make some changes to enter into phase 3 for nursing home reopening. With that, we will step down from testing our employees twice a week to once a week. In addition, we will be able to have volunteers come back into the nursing home to provide prayer services and rosary and different types of activities that the residents really enjoy. In addition, probably the best of all is that we will be able to reopen to socially distanced visits for our residents and their family members, which we are looking forward to greatly. And that is about all we're going to be discussing at tomorrow's meeting. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chief Randy Remeker with the Algoma Police Department to give you the highlights for the Police Department for the last PPP meeting. There's 3 subjects I want to briefly touch upon. The first one being purchase of new equipment. We recently purchased new radios using capital funds to actually give each officer a brand new radio actually used within the department. The other issue we purchased using COVID grant was new computers for police cars. This equipment will actually enhance the ability for the officers to do their job and actually serve the public. The second issue I want to speak about today is our drug interdiction program, which was based on complaints and concerns we received throughout the past couple of years. The purpose for this program is to target those individuals either passing through or selling or using illegal drugs within the city of Algoma. So you may have seen on certain days an enhanced or additional patrols of extra law enforcement within the city, and that's what those units are actually doing. It's comprised, of course, of the Algoma Police Department and a support from the Kewanee Sheriff's Department, the Kewanee Police Department, and the Wisconsin State Patrol. Our last operation was conducted on January 12th of this year, which resulted in 10 citations, 63 warnings, and 2 positive indicators for illegal drugs within vehicles. So once again, you'll be seeing these out throughout the year, so we'll be continuing to do this. So when you see that extra law enforcement presence in the city of Algoma, just remember that's designed to target illegal drugs. And the intent is we want to increase and make better the quality of life for the city of Algoma. The last issue I touch upon is the statistics for the city of Algoma. So we concluded the year, of course, in December, and for the total year of 2020, we had 1674 calls for the year compared to 2019, which we had 1698, so we saw a slight decrease. As far as UCR statistics that we report up to the FBI, we had a slight increase due to people stealing and damaging political signs through this rough political year we just had. But overall, we're still well below the 2018 year, roughly still fit half the crime we had that year. Barring any questions, concerns, that concludes my report.
Hello, I'm Jared Heyn. I'm the City Administrator for the City of Algoma, and I'll be reading the report for the City Council meeting. The City Council met on Monday, February 1st at 6 p.m. After going through a couple outstanding committee reports, we got into new business, and there the council approved stipends for both our cable department volunteers as well as our fire and rescue department volunteers. After that, the council considered and approved a resolution authorizing myself to enter into an agreement with Robert E. Lee and Associates, our contracted engineering firm, for the sanitary lateral project sanitary main project crossing the Yanape River. That project has since been completed. And then finally, we also talked about potential local mask mandate, and I just want to be clear, no action was taken on that. It was kind of more or less tabled at the time when the agenda was put together. It had looked like the state would possibly be overturning the mask mandate, and obviously immediately after that the governor put in place a new statewide mask mandate. So until anything changes at the state level, that's more or less in a holding pattern. And then to conclude the meeting, the mayor announced the appointment of Jake Brettel to the Community Development Committee. The Redevelopment Authority met for the first time since, I believe, last September. They met on Tuesday, February 9th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall, and it was more or less just an update on our redevelopment area number 2 project, which is the block between the Super Value grocery store and Perry Park, which has been identified as a distressed block for redevelopment. And we are applying for a couple of different grants through the state for some CDBG funding. One of those grants, which is, is more or less the monies are provided through a revolving loan fund that the county had with the state in the amount of about $700,000. We applied for that, and we will receive word on whether or not we received that. We're very optimistic that we will. We should receive word within the next 30 to 45 days from today's recording. However, with that, though, there is also a second grant we are applying for, which is the CDBG Public Facilities Grant, which is a $1 million grant, a competitive grant. So we will be applying for that. The deadline for that is the middle of May. We're just tying up a few loose ends on the city side of it, strengthening our application from last year when we applied and it was denied. So we're just working on making that even better to increase our chances that we'll get it this year. And we're pretty optimistic about that one as well. So we're potentially talking anywhere from $700,000 to $1.7 million to invest in this block to redevelop it. We just more or less kind of outline the next steps. And assuming the RDA does meet in the month of March, it will be on Tuesday, March 9th at 6 p.m. The CDC met on Monday, February 15th at 6 p.m. We also had in attendance with this the school superintendent, Nick Kochart. So went over the financial reports, and then also we talked about the CDC grant program that we currently offer through the city. And more or less the members talked about different ways that we can promote the CDC grant program. They also discussed any revisions they want to make to it, with the primary focus being that we want entities or individuals who receive these grants to more or less after they've received the grant and implemented it, to basically report back on the success or potentially the failure of their project, just so that we kind of have an idea of how those monies are being spent and if they were a good investment and how it's paying off for the community. Talked extensively about the All-American City banners and the program associated with that. So as a quick reminder, through a program, an initiative led by the Algoma School District, Algoma was identified as a finalist and a winner of the All-American City status for both the city and the school district. And this was a nationwide competition. With that, we have the ability to participate in their banner program, and the school reached out to us, the school's representative reached out to us and wants to partner with the city to participate in this banner program and share that investment, and we're really looking at it as a marketing opportunity for the city of Algoma. So we will be having follow-up meetings at the staff level between the city and the school district, and moving forward with that. It was also announced that Jake Brettel was appointed to the CDC, and they also talked a little bit about, the members did, about the terms ending this April, and anyone who wants to be reappointed to the committee. With that, the next meeting will be Monday, March 15th at 6 p.m. That will be available via Zoom. So if you would like to attend that via Zoom, you need only call City Hall after the agenda is posted, and we will send you the relevant information. The Finance and Personnel Committee met on Monday, February 15th at 4 p.m. this month, and that was due to the fact that on Tuesday the 16th there was a spring primary, and so it was the easiest way to go about that was to move the meeting, because we were not able to accommodate the space needs with the election going on. So again, they met on Monday, February 15th. The main topic of discussion for the night was the public safety facility update. So that was an update that I provided to the Finance and Personnel Committee, and our civil engineer, a representative from Robert E. Lee, was here and walked through a proposal for them to assist with the next steps in this process. As kind of a refresher, more or less we're at a point where we have a concept for a proposed new public safety facility, but we need more specifics before we actually start designing the facility and bring it to referendum for the public to ultimately vote on. And so Robert E. Lee will be assisting the city in that capacity to help us come up with a more precise design of the facility before we go out to bid. There was extensive discussion about different ways we could potentially save some money, because we are talking about a potentially approximately $7.5 million facility, an investment which is, regardless of the size of the community, is a substantial investment. And so we talked quite a bit about ways we could we could save some money while also meeting the needs of the community and the city as an organization. So that is all things that we will be taking into consideration moving forward. So again, kind of visualizing this as a process. So now we're going to be coming up with more precise designs and specs. We will then be getting more accurate, or I should say a narrower cost estimate for this project, that we will then use that information to present to the public prior to this going to referendum. So it's all working back from that deadline for a referendum. We are aiming for April of 2022 for that to go to referendum. So that's sort of the timeline. That's the proposed outline that we have. We also considered, or I should say the committee considered renewal of agreement with Weiss Memorial for cemetery services. The agreement expires this year. And there were a couple price changes that were noted in the proposal, and that will be going before the city council on Monday, March 1st for adoption. Clayton Parle, one of our police officers, was also appointed as a volunteer firefighter. We talked about, the mayor presented a topic, shipwreck sanctuary request. This was an item that was brought up about a year ago. There really wasn't a whole lot of discussion on it. That'll be, the mayor will be moving forward on that subject. I presented an item about the lighthouse lease. So we have been, we received a proposal from the General Services Administration on behalf of the Army Corps of Engineers and the United States Coast Guard to more or less assume stewardship of the Pierhead Light. We call lighthouse, although technically it's not a lighthouse. The Pierhead Light, the red structure that we're all familiar with. We've been presented with a lease agreement, which would be a $0 lease that the city would pay. However, we would be responsible for the maintenance of the structure and the catwalk going to the structure itself. I expressed some reservations about it only because I was not able to ascertain a reliable estimate of how much money we should be budgeting for this, because this is not something that is all that common for municipalities to take on. And so I sought some information from the federal government, and we did not receive very specific responses with that. And so, you know, I was looking more or less asking the council for direction, and it will be coming back up at a future meeting. This will be before the Finance and Personnel Committee again in March, and then the City Council at their April 5th meeting for final consideration and approval or denial of the lease agreement. In the meantime, I'll be trying to fill in as many of the blanks as I can with that, so that we're making as informed of decision as possible. Then went into closed session to talk about some city-owned property and adjourn the meeting shortly thereafter. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, March 16th at 4:30.